About a month ago, I decided that I was going to take a break from social media. So it's been about a month and I thought I'd come and share what I have experienced. Did my life fall apart? And what do I think is going to happen moving forward from this point? Right when the pandemic hit in March of 2020, I had what I think was a panic attack. And that was really weird for me because I'm not a person who has baseline anxiety. So I thought, okay, what's going on? Obviously, the pandemic hitting and all this stuff going on was an added stress in life. And of course, as a freelancer, your mind just starts to spin and go, what is going to happen? Am I going to have any work coming in? Are we going to lose our house? And it just goes on from there. But on the other hand, it's also not an unusual thing to think as a freelancer. I had taken a social media break, or pumped the brakes a little bit on using social media before because, I was starting to notice some negative effects. But when the pandemic hit, I sort of gave myself permission to go a little bit back, and I was spending a lot of time on Facebook, hearing the news and hearing people's reactions and just that influx of constant information. At that point, I said, okay, you know what, I've really got to scale this back, and I did. I felt better. I felt more clear. I felt less anxious. But of course, over time, because I didn't make a real commitment to saying I'm done, I started using it again. Fast forward to a month ago, and I realized that using social media, especially Facebook, was having a really negative effect on my life. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling anxious. I was feeling depressed. I would see good things happen to other people, and I'd feel bad about my own life. I would spend too much time worrying about external forms of validation and whether I got likes or whether people were commenting on my posts. I would get to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and just feel totally tired and done. Now, at the time, I didn't think that this was because of social media. I wasn't even really thinking about what that was. I thought it was a combination of just working too much or the pandemic and stress and all this other stuff. I watched that really excellent Cal Newport video. Cal Newport is an author who wrote Deep Work, among other things, where he talks about focus and about what it takes to actually do meaningful work. And he basically says in this video, to make a long story short, social media is damaging and dangerous, and there is no benefit. There's no upside to using it. And I remember when I watched this a few years ago, I thought, yeah, okay, he's got some good points, definitely. This idea that people are making the algorithms that run how Facebook works and how the feed works, studied Vegas slot machines and the psychology of gambling and how to keep people doing the same action over and over, because ultimately their bottom line is just keeping you on their platform, participating in their data acquisitions and watching the ads. But I have my reservations. I'm a freelancer. A lot of what we do as creative freelancers is putting ourselves out there, networking on the social networks, making sure that we're top of mind when something comes up, that we're thought of for that gig, and making sure that we're always in the know. What's going on? What's current? Is there something coming up that I need to participate in? All right, so here's the big report. It has been probably the best thing I have done for my well-being, I would say ever. And I can't believe it got so bad. First of all, because I made the commitment to quit for 30 days, it wasn't hard. I put blocks on my computer, I took it off my phone, I never actually went and looked. I felt this weight lifted from me. I don't think our brains are designed to take in that much information on such a consistent basis, especially when the information is, you're not enough, people are doing much better than you are with their perfectly curated highlight reels of a life. There's so much bad in the world and so many negative things are happening all the time. It's just overwhelming. Even if the news is good, it's too much. We can't process it all. Or if you are processing it, you are doing so at the expense of something else. Something has to give. You can only have so much attention. You can only have so many hours in a day and so much focus. That energy loss, that slump I felt at 3 in the afternoon went away. I felt generally more positive. I felt more energized. I felt excited. And I felt this weird sense of magic about life return. And the crazy thing was, I didn't realize it was missing. I didn't realize that magic had kind of leached out of my life. I wasn't a crazy user of social media. I was actually probably by most standards very, very moderate, but it was always there. The first thing you checked when you sat on the toilet in the morning And while you were watching TV at night or doing whatever you were doing, you kept pulling your phone out and looking and looking and looking. What you're responding to, what your body is looking for, it's looking for that little hit of dopamine. It's looking for that little jolt of energy and that excitement, that reward center of your brain that wants novelty and wants excitement and wants something new to happen. That's what it's giving you over and over again. So every time you look at your phone, every time you pick it up, every time you look at social media, every time you log into Facebook or you check something, you're getting that little hit of dopamine. You are becoming addicted to a drug. And just like an addict, the drug starts to work less and less the more you use it. You become resistant to it. So what are the other things in my life that I'm getting hits of dopamine from? Talking to friends, hanging out with my wife, making music, working on creative projects. Everything felt kind of deadened. I felt like I wasn't enjoying things. Food didn't taste as good. Here's the crazy part about it. 13 years roughly of social media use. For roughly the same amount of time, I've been trying to work on this album. Within 2 weeks of stopping social media, I started to get this welling of excitement about just working on creative stuff and solving creative problems. I made more progress on that thing in 2 weeks than I had made in the last 13 to 15 years. Not only that, but I found the energy. I was getting up and starting work far earlier, and then after dinner I'd be like, you know what, I don't want to watch TV, I don't want more input, I'm too excited to go and be creative and do things. I felt like I got my mental clarity back. I was able to think about problems and also just like think on things for longer and work on problems for longer. I had more stamina, mental stamina to stick with a problem. Not because I had this newfound sense of discipline. I think it's because the dopamine thing, you know, I was actually getting rewarded for doing that work. No longer having that impulse to suddenly, you know, if something got a little challenging, I'd always, you know, oh, let's go check Facebook just really quickly. Or look at my phone really quickly. Whenever a challenge would come. So I was task switching all the time. My brain was going from this to that, to this, to that, to this, to that, back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm able to focus for much longer and get into a groove. And the number of times that I've hit flow state now, I've just gone way through the roof compared to before. All in all, it's just been a net positive. There has been no drawback for this period of time that I've done it. At this time, I can't think of any reason to go back because I've gained so much by leaving. I've gained so much by not giving it my attention and not feeding my brain a constant stream of information and too much stuff, and to try and live up to some sort of standard of producing content or putting up posts or showing how great your life is, and then of course comparing everything you've done to somebody else. It's a treadmill. It's horrible, and mentally it's just crushing. I can't think of good reasons to go back. I think it's worth thinking about some of the arguments for being on social media. So the first one obviously is the social aspect, right? So especially if you're not looking at using this as in a professional sense, but you're just like friends, family, keeping up. I like to see what's going on with people. It makes me happy to be able to check in and to see what's going on. Well, my experience so far has been that I've had more frequent and deeper, more meaningful conversations with people. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. When I don't see people all the time and they don't see me posting all the time, it feels like I've left, and I feel like they've left. They're not in my life. So I feel the need to reach out and write them a nice note and say hi and, hey, I miss you, or whatever. Let's get on a call and talk. And then when that happens, we actually have things to talk about. Because I haven't followed every single post that they've made, and I know everything already going on in their lives, which kind of negates the need to talk to people, which is sad. So let's talk about a creative person who needs to stay top of mind, who needs to be demonstrating what they're doing. Like, how do you reach out to a potential audience? How do you maintain contact with valuable network contacts? How do you make sure that people don't forget about you? Well, I really thought about this. I made a list of all the gigs that I've had recently, and I thought about how I got them. Did I get any gigs directly from social media? When I thought about the gigs that I have gotten, where it was through someone who I am friends with on social media, I guess I could ask them, like, if I hadn't been on social media and posting regularly, would you have thought of me for this gig? Okay, I could do that, but what if the answer is no, I wouldn't have thought of you? Okay, that can't be the answer. I mean, yes, it can be the answer, but that to me is not acceptable. I cannot live with that being the answer because it means there's no way to not be on social media. how are we doing this? How are people doing this before? There was a time before social media where this was possible. You can still do marketing activities, you can still participate, but you do it in a professional way. You do it with a kind of buffer between yourself and the medium. In my research in terms of how artists, creators, producers of any kind of work best relate to an audience and best navigate the marketing aspect of it is with email lists. You have a direct line to the people that you're communicating with. Email lists tend to be very cultivated. It means that people that are on that email list want to hear from you. They've opted in. It's a more intentional relationship, and you're focused on always delivering some form of value. You aren't on that constant treadmill of having to produce content all the time, nor do you get that feedback where you need to see the thumbs go up and the comments come back and everything else. It's just a totally different relationship. Changes to the algorithm, changes to a platform like Facebook or Instagram, rules changes, getting your videos taken down, being, deplatformed or whatever else. These things don't happen. With an email list, you control everything. To me, the idea of intentionality is really important. Because that's one of the things that I found coming out of this whole experiment is that I became much more intentional about everything that I was doing. When I posted something on YouTube, when I communicated with someone and how I reached out to them, the conversations I was having, I was focused, I was there, I was really present for everything, and I felt a sense of gratitude about it all. And I was able to deliver much more value in every single situation that I was in, whether it be being really present for a conversation, being able to offer more of myself because I had the energy to do it, and having the mental clarity to come up with really great solutions for those collaborators that I was working with, as opposed to a knee-jerk reaction, which I think social media really puts us into that mode of just needing to react, needing to post something, needing to get validation, needing to continue keeping up with everyone else. And you're not in control. And I really wanted to be more in control. I don't think I'll stop using social media entirely, but I still haven't found a method. So I think I'm going to continue the experiment for a little longer and work on solutions to that. Because one of the things that people have said to me is like, how do you actually market work? Like if you put out an album or if you're producing music or talking about a film project that you've been on, you need a platform. And these things are so valuable as a platform for that to a certain degree. Again, you are not in control of who gets to see what. The way it used to be that it was a Wild West thing, any kind of organic content was just seen by your friends and family and your network. Now it's more restricted. They really want you to pay for the privilege of having your stuff shown to your audience, your network, your friends, your family. There is a way to use social media in a completely business-like way. There is a business portal for these things where you are paying for advertising space. As with all things, if you're serious about what you're doing, then get serious, be professional, be a business. And that's the way I'm sort of starting to think about it too, is that if I want to use this as a business tool, I should use it as a business tool. It will put me in a position where there is a buffer between my need to maintain my mental clarity and to access that energy and be creative whenever I want to, and the horrible doom scrolling that we all get into, all the things that Facebook and Instagram and all the other platforms want us to do, which is stay on the platform as long as possible, participate in all the ways that they want you to participate in, engage, post, consume, stay in that hamster wheel of doom. So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. It's still a question in my mind in terms of what the next step is, how I'm going to run my business while still accessing social media. But the one thing I can tell you for sure is that quitting was amazing. It was one of the best things, if not the best thing I've ever done for my general well-being, my mental health. It's just had so many amazing upsides and no downsides. I don't miss it. I don't feel out of the loop. I still get all the information I need. I get the news that I need. If I want it, I can go get it. I am in touch with my friends in different ways. I am not out to sea and socially a pariah or somehow out of the group. I have a feeling it's going to continue that way. I don't foresee any big downsides and that I'm going to become some sort of a hermit living on the fringes of society. All of these things have made it one of the most successful experiments I've ever run and one of the most amazing results of anything that I've ever done. I highly encourage you, watch that Cal Newport video if you haven't already. If you have, watch it again. Give some consideration to running this as an experiment and see how you feel. Your results may vary, I don't know, everyone's brain is different and everyone has a different relationship to these things. I don't think it's a one size fits all, but I am pretty firmly on Cal Newport's side at this point. Social media is actually harmful. We are suffering in ways that we may not even be aware of while we're in the midst of using it. So I think we need to reconsider our relationship with those platforms, how we use them, try the experiment, and see what happens. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Have you had negative effects on social media? Have you tried fasting? Have you tried quitting entirely? Are you off of social media? What are you worried about if you do it? Have you thought about any good solutions to that? I will check in again probably down the road to see how the journey continues, and I'll let you know what the updates are. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.